You know, education. I've read the Christian Bible, most of the Quran, and of course I've read the Torah. Genesis, the beginning, the creation. Genesis, let's see, it starts with, do not pick the fruit from the tree of knowledge. Okay. Eve talks Adam into doing it. That evil woman. At any rate, the mother of you. So what happened? How come that's all you do? Is teach knowledge. Think about it. That's all. You don't hear anybody saying, I want you to grow up to be the wisest man in the world. How much wisdom did you learn today? You know? Knowledge is not wisdom. Wisdom demands culture. And then you can get these wise teachings. Even the teachings of Jesus are very wise. The teachings of Muhammad, read them, they're wise. The teachings of God and the prophets are mostly wise. Same with Christianity and Islam, mostly. But what I'm getting at here is what we're trying to do in the Republic of Lakota. Total immersion education. Now you all have it. The Jews have total immersion education. And different sects of the Jews have total immersion education. Mormons have it. The right-wing Christians have it. The Catholics have it. The Chinese have it. Total immersion education. The United States government has total immersion education. So, what happens to the Indians? Even the Spanish-speaking people have total immersion education. Well, the Maoris have it over in New Zealand. And look what happened. I went over there in 1990 and visited their total immersion schools. At the time, they only had 5 schools. Now they got over 180 total immersion schools. They have turned their country around from very anti-racist. Very. I know. I went over there, I was just like this, treated well. Very, very well. My wife asked me, then after the 2 days of it, she said, Russ, can you just let your hair down? People stare at us all the time and follow us around and everything. I said, okay. Took down my hair, went out with her. Boom. We became Maoris. And you talk about vicious and insulting treatment. Man. Kind of reminded me of Gordon, Nebraska, and Rapid City back in the 60s and 70s. At any rate, in the Deep South. But they turned it around with total immersion education. At the time, it was, they had about 2 dozen, or less than 2 dozen, but almost 2 dozen daycare centers that fed these 5 schools that were independently funded. The government saw what excellent citizens after about 12, 14 years, and they funded over 100 schools, And now Maori is the, the second language equal to English. Everyone is learning Maori. Everyone in New Zealand. Now, I'm not talking everyone should learn Lakota, but what I am saying is, here's what we say, what our word for Ieska. That used to be an honorable term, just like toka, but that's another argument. Ieska was an honorable term. It means you spoke with two brains, because you spoke two different languages. Imagine if you spoke multiple languages like we used to. Also, we had in the plains created a sign language that all of us knew that lived on the plains. So when we first met, it wasn't war, it was sign language. Hello? We lived in natural law, which, by the way, you know what natural law is? I'll give you an example. Here's this big table, or take that wall. That whole wall is Lakota territory. But everything in it, those are the different Indian nations. The Hidatsa, the Mandan, the Ree, the Hikaria, Arikara, excuse me, the Ponca, the Pawnee, the Crow, the Cheyenne, Arapaho. See, we didn't really have boundary lines. We knew better. Getting back to education. Our Treaty Total Immersion School is fashioned after the Maoris. Now the Maoris can go from the cradle through the doctorate in education, never speaking English. And they become one of the finest oceanographers in the world. But and other disciplines. We want the same thing for our children. We want to produce good citizens of the world with total immersion education. It's the only way you can teach language. You cannot teach it an hour a day. You cannot, it's impossible. Because you have to live your language. And that's why we're going to start with 3-year-olds and 4-year-olds here. We had one pilot project, but because of the poverty of the people's grandparents and parents, simple, no gas money. In 2 weeks, our pilot project went kaput. There's many reasons for it, but the point is, we want total immersion to save our language. You know, about 2 to 3% of the Lakota people are fluent, and they're dying. The average age of a fluent speaker in Lakota is 65 years of age. We've got to, and get this, by the end of the 3rd grade, teaching the way our ancestors taught, our children will have introduced to botany, biology, astronomy, geology, and animal sciences, the natural sciences. Wow. You don't get that in America. Wow, with the government-run schools, or even the Christian schools. So you see, there's knowledge in, but more importantly, wisdom. Because we do not separate church from state. Everything has spiritual value. Everything. Everything lives. Everything has a right to live. But we sacrifice and share. We've understood that, and we're the low end of the totem pole. We're not top of the food chain. We're not. Go, take a walk in the woods or in the swamp, anywhere in natural area. Just find out where on the food chain you belong. You'll find out real quick. And you see, we use natural life to teach us how to build our civilizations. You know, what the wind could teach us, the clouds, the earth, and all her children. We learn how not to build cities. Look at a forest. Go into a forest. Smell that decay. See the crippled trees reaching for the energy of the sun. Look at the stunted trees. Look at the strong trees. Look at your cities. T.R.E.A.T.Y.